And I'm also being joined by Lady Venus O'Hara. Thank you for joining and welcome us in the club. Woo!
It's 11:11.
It's 11:11. Everybody make a wish. Oh my God. I'm freaking out, dude. All right. So thank you so much for joining us today because we're going to be mixing it up because Lucy's not here. So you're my co-host today. And we love our co-host. Thank you so much for coming in. In fact, what we do at this segment, this is actually Lucy's one of her favorite segments. This is called News of the Weird. With all the shite that's going on, you know who I'm talking to, Orange Man. But with all the shite that's going on these days, well, let's just say this shit is real. And this week, I think the weirdest news has been everything that we've been going through from the American president, he who shall not be mentioned. And in regards to how he's throwing the country and many people under the bus, it's really interesting that he just has no qualms doing it. I mean, have you seen any of this nonsense?
I just watch a little bit because I don't know. I just.
You mean you don't enjoy it? What are you talking
No,
about?
I think there's more work for me to liberate people. So
this is exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to talk about
I'm a really
more.
positive person, and when people start complaining all the time, I just think, you know, do you really think this person is in charge? I don't personally.
No, of course not. Putin's in charge. He revealed last night. I said, well, as we all know, he walked in front of the Queen.
Oh, yeah. That was terrible. It was terrible.
I mean, she disappeared for a hot minute behind his
even the hat.
portly frame. Now, as he flew over, though, this is interesting because one of the farmers near Cheka, in where he actually went to meet Prime Minister May, I believe, had done a crop circle. Mm-hmm. And it was to be specifically on the trajectory from where he would have to leave from the helipad over to meet May. And on his property, he wrote, well, Funk Trump, but he put the F-U-C-K, which actually mostly translates in Russia to whore Trump in Russian. So he could read that as he went over that. So no matter what he did, he had to see this on his trajectory over to meeting May. So that's one of the things. It was a 650-foot crop circle that he and his fellow farmers created for this. What do you think that does to a homeboy when he sees, to the orange one when he sees things like that?
I don't think he really cares at this stage.
You really don't?
No.
You don't think he's affected when people don't like him? I feel part of his ego is completely assassinated.
I think there are other things that are boosting the ego, obviously, so that are probably much bigger than a crop circle. And probably might be flattered in the end, you know. So,
and of course, he doesn't know Russian, so he couldn't understand possibly what they were saying.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump over from your country over to another one of your countries, India. India. No,
I'm actually India. I would love to go to India.
Yeah, my brother has been about 5 or 6 times, and he's probably going to buy property there too. The man with the world's longest fingernails, he holds the Guinness Book World Records for that, actually, has just cut them. Sridhar Chilal of Pune, India had, oh my God. Are you ready for this? A collective length of 29 feet, 10 inches. Nearly 30 feet of nails.
How could you do your day-to-day business?
I don't know, but I'm going to show you, which other people, I might throw this on the website.
Oh my God.
Those are his nails.
Wow.
Okay, folks, they went around and then they curled and curled and curled and curled and curled. 30, how much was that? Yeah, nearly 30 feet of them. He was honored just 2 years ago by that. They are now on the display at Ripley's, believe it or not, in New York. The auditorium. Nice. The Auditorium, oh my God, the ODD-atorium in New York City. So my peeps back home, you can go take a peek at that. And the last of the weird news, as you know, for all summer, I have been relating to lots of things that deal with urine, excrement, and things of that nature. Today, we're going to talk about, and this has nothing to do with the fact of what we're going to talk about later. But apparently, police found 82 grams of drugs in a Wisconsin woman's vaginal area. Here's the breakdown. She had 37 grams of cocaine inside of her, 14.7 grams of meth, 27.8 grams of synthetic weed. Why synthetic? 6 MDMA pills, and 1.3 grams of marijuana, all inside of her.
I actually tested some Kegel balls. There were 84 grams last week, so it's definitely possible.
I was so excited. Okay, the power of Christ compels me to say that's enough. But apparently, really quickly, this woman her name is Desiree Webster. She's 20 years old. She's a young lass, traveling with her 39-year-old. That's a youngish man. That's a wonderful age. 39 is a wonderful age, I tell you. But this son of a bitch was a convicted drug dealer, and he wanted to find a woman and pay her that would do this, just in case they got stopped, which they did get stopped. And she shoved this, and eventually they were, of course, apprehended and taken in. He for allegedly selling tons of heroin, cocaine, marijuana, meth, and other drugs. Well, look at that. See, the drug thing is not just a problem of Mexicans bringing it in. It's just
people
all
are
over
ruining
the world.
people's lives, so they
Say
deserve.
again?
They're ruining people's lives by
Completely.
doing that. So.
We have a major crisis. I don't know if it happened in your country with this opium and heroin crisis that we had in the United States and Canada.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Good. You don't have
I'm
to
a
know.
bit
It's terrible.
innocent with all
Now,
these things.
something that we do know is that for the first time in many, many years, Suede, now recalling themselves again London Suede, are coming back with the first track in many, many years. Do you remember these guys?
Oh, I love them.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember that album with the two guys kissing. Yeah, I love that album.
Their first one.
Yeah.
Well, this one is a new track that they just released this past Friday. So we're going to drop it and then get back with some time and temperature and Venus for you. Don't be afraid. This is the London Suede. Don't be afraid if nobody loves you. That's actually the full name of that song. That is the London Suede. Suede, however you like to call them. They are back and going to be touring with this, or at least going to do some shows as well. So make sure if you're on the English coast that you can catch them out. This is going to be, well, that was called Don't Be Afraid If Nobody Loves You. And we're going to do a little bit of the weather. It's hot. You already need to know that. It's hot. There will be, apparently there's going to be little pops of showers from when the humidity gets too intense, like we had the other night.
On that yesterday morning.
Yesterday morning, was it?
Wow, it's intense.
It was not sunny,
I was
but it was
testing.
light.
It was amazing. I loved it.
There was sunlight when I got into the metro in Fontana, and then when I got out in Horta Guinardó, it was black, like night, like 9 o'clock at night, and it just started cats and dogs. You were there. What were you doing? Testing what?
I was at home. I was testing a sex toy, and I absolutely love summer storms. They are very.
Let's talk about
sensual.
the storm that was going on down there. By the way, you are listening to us, 106.9 FM. Let's do a station shout out. Radio Kanal Barcelona. It is 11:23. All right. What were you testing out, sweet stuff? During the storm.
During the storm, I was testing this very strange vibrator called G-Vibe 2, which is like a split shaft, like a devil's tongue. So it's like, what do you do with this?
I would presume, would just one part go in, another one stimulates the
Exactly,
clitoris?
yeah. You can do lots of different things with it because they're very,
Okay.
very flexible. Yeah.
Or anally.
Yeah,
It can be
it's
stimulation
even
as well.
for men, women, even couples. Yeah.
Interesting. Folks, I hope you're getting a little bit of a taste of what we're going to be talking about, because it's going to be,
Hot.
yeah, it is going to be hot. And that's why I wore shorts today, sweetie, just for you. But we're also talking about one of the things that you've said is that you want to help people or something one orgasm at a time.
Let's change the world.
Change the world, even
Yeah.
more so, one orgasm at a time. All right. Why do you say one orgasm at a time?
I think I think maybe for men, you already know how things work by the very young age, and that's not the case for women.
Okay.
Women having a clitoris is like having a Ferrari, but most women have not found the keys. They don't know how to start the engine. And my mission is to help with these women start the engine, because being self-sufficient, orgasmically aware is life-changing on many levels, not just for physical pleasure, but for your relationships, for your emotional life especially.
Correct.
So I think this is really important. And I've had women who've read my reviews and they've got a sex toy, and with time they've actually had their first orgasm if they've written to me afterwards. And I know that feeling because I lived it myself, and they just feel incredibly empowered. So that's why I want to change the world one orgasm at a time.
The intensity of a woman's orgasm is rumored to be much, much more encompassing than a man's, which tends to be very, visceral and momentary and yesta. However, are there any things that you could also teach men to stimulate? I mean, obviously they say that men's G-spots are within their bum. And most of us, including myself, who actually plays for the other team, don't really go there. So why do you think, because you said just about 2 minutes ago that men, we at an early age we know how to use our tool.
Yeah.
But are we doing it correctly, I wonder? I would say most women would say most men are shitty lovers.
I don't know. I think it takes two, and I think everyone's responsible for their own orgasm. I think it's not fair to say that a man is a bad lover just because he didn't have an orgasm. I think it's up to the woman to show what she wants. I think that's really, really important because men are not just they're not clairvoyants. You know, they need to know what they're doing. And also, every woman is different. You know that from different relationships. That's the best way to learn is actually in a relationship with the same person and with intimacy.
You mean not with pornography?
Absolutely not.
What are you talking about? That's insane. Okay,
that's a terrible place to learn about sex.
And yet it's a wonderful, wonderful segue to the next song. We're going to just throw this track on really quickly, then we're going to come back and it's going to be about love.
Oh, fantastic.
So, Hera, let's get back into the nitty-gritty of things, because that's what baby Jesus would want us to do. He did shoot out of a virgin pussy, too. So, let's talk. Yeah, see, I told you, folks, be prepared. You already know how your boy roll. Okay? Now, let's go back to the beginning. A very good place to start. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Manchester, UK. Yeah. Where the best music comes from.
We're going to end the show today with the new Swing Out Sister song. Do you remember Swing Out Sister?
I remember. Maybe I was quite young then.
Start to ask. Break out.
There are other songs from Manchester that I like more.
Oh my God, the Happy Mondays.
Of course. Oh my God, Happy Mondays.
I mean, we can go on and on and on.
Smiths.
So, the Smiths were from Manchester.
Yeah.
Morrissey.
Yeah.
And
Manchester, he's vegetarian, and I love him.
And his crazy ass. Well, he's got a new album out soon. It came out Friday. Okay, wait a minute. So you're coming from Manchester, but you've been here for a hot minute.
Oh, yeah, a long time. Yeah.
Okay. So you moved here at 16 and things were really real.
I moved here at 22 or 23, I think.
Okay.
So I've been here a very long time and I came after university and I've stayed. But
what brought you here?
I studied French at university, French and European studies, politics, feminism. And during my time in Paris, I had such an amazing time. I met lots of Spanish people, and I saw all about my mother, Toda sobre mi madre, and I just thought, wow, I want to live in Barcelona, because it just shows Barcelona in an incredible light. So, and I came
an
to
Almodovar film brought you over.
Yeah, exactly. And I've actually watched the scenes that I was amazed by again recently. And
a lot of them near Lesseps and Gracia, actually, I believe.
Yeah, and it wasn't. Yeah, there's a house there, and also there is when she's on the train arriving in Barcelona, there's a toma, una vista de Tibidabo, and it's a fado music, and it's nighttime. It's very enchanting. And they go past the Sagrada Familia, and it's just so wow. And actually, when I think about Barcelona now, what I see every day is way more beautiful than the imagery in that film. So
I think the first one I recall from that would have been La Berge Espagnole. Do you remember that one?
Oh, I love that. I actually lived here already, but it was amazing. I think
you have been here a hot minute.
Yeah, so everyone who lives in Barcelona has got to see that.
Just a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say cinema brought you here, the love of it, or art brought you here.
Yeah.
What kept you here? Because, as you said, love, you've been here for a while. So what kept you here?
Well, the first few years, I did live in Madrid first.
Oh, you did?
So
like
I came.
Lady Lucy.
So absolutely, I came here with an anti-Madrid mentality that has evaporated over the years. So I've
even
made
after
peace.
The drama of the recent late.
I've actually feel a lot more of love and peace towards Madrid now these days.
Nice to hear.
But at first, I wanted to integrate. I speak Catalan, and I didn't want to teach any more English because I was so sick of that. And I worked in exports for many years and in a printing company. So I printed hardback books, and that's how I got into erotic stuff, because I was printing erotic books for publishers in London and France. And so that's how it all started.
But through here, because we have a huge editorial right outside the country. I mean, the city, there's so many editorial houses.
Yeah. But they're all closing down now. I mean, there's a big printing business here in Barcelona that started in the 50s, but now it's kind of, as you know, print media has just died or dying. And
do you think it has to do with a lot of this and how
yes,
are
definitely.
focusing here? I love your blog, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You're going to have to teach me some things. Okay, that's fine. But okay, so then not necessarily, in some ways maybe yes, but mostly what you studied did not have necessarily anything to do with what you have
no, not really.
Walked into now.
No, but the fact that I did French and European studies. Well, I was interested in languages, so that's quite evident. But the European studies side, I was always focusing on feminism, and I realised that I didn't want to work for a government or NGO or anything like that, because I don't want to spend my whole day being angry. Because if you're trying to fight for a cause, you're going to spend your days being angry and frustrated. And I'm very grateful for those people who are willing to do that. But that's not what I wanted to do. And I wanted to live in Barcelona. So I've chosen a much more fun way to do feminism.
Yes, I would say. And that's a beautiful way to put it as well. So the sex toy testing came post-erotica, post-publishing or helping publish erotica.
Yeah, because I was still a normal person at that stage.
Oh, what's normal? My mother used to say, normal is fathers raping their daughters now. So, yeah.
That was normal in the sense that I had a normal job and I worked in a normal office and most things around me were normal. I was just bringing the dodgy deals, but my bosses didn't care because they were paying, so they were solvent clients.
That's another fact, too, that because I do a lot of cinema here in the city, and so we've recently learned that the porno industry makes as much as the Hollywood industry, and of course a lot of it runs out of Hollywood. But porn is free. Like since the 90s, I have not paid. Since high school, I haven't really ever paid for porn, and not that I'm a big one because we're going to talk about that at all because I have my aversions to it, but the fact that pornography, erotica, stories of that nature, sex makes so much money when it's free versus Hollywood is astounding. Why do you think there's so much industry towards that? And yet it's such a taboo topic.
I think that's because it's taboo. I think anything that's taboo just makes it more interesting. And then people have a natural curiosity about sex. And if you want to, people are in denial about it a lot of the time. Even if you speak to religious people,
denial.
Yeah, they're in denial about the fact that there's such thing called a libido or whatever. I mean, I think it's only 1% of the population that's asexual, so everyone else is sexual. But he doesn't seem that way.
Morrissey from Manchester, asexual. Sorry to bring him up again. He says he is. I don't know.
I don't know.
He's cute. But, okay, so when we talk about these 99% of people, how many of them do you believe? Let's go back to a country like mine. Yours is less puritanical now, I think. But apparently, they say upwards of 80 to 90% of the population in that country believe in a higher power, a God. Very religiosity is pervasive. But there's so much underneath the realms of existence. So many people are doing stuff underneath there. So many Republicans and conservatives get outed, sucking dick and all this stuff. Why do you think they keep it taboo when everybody's doing it?
This is what I was brought up in a Catholic Catholic education, so I know very well about the two sides of things. That's why my number one value in life is integrity, because I think in religion there's not much integrity. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy.
Preach.
So I believe that you start with the body, like with young children. When you teach a child what the names of their body parts are. If you take a class of 5-year-olds, all the 5-year-olds are going to have different names for the genitals because they have different names at home. So just from a very early age, people are taught that this is a shameful area. So I just think that's where it all starts. And then when you get to adolescence, then it just gets worse and worse, I think.
You're completely right.
And then parents don't know how to talk to their children because that means they have to face their own sex life again, and it makes them very uncomfortable. It makes them look at their marriage again, perhaps. So, I mean, if the adults are not comfortable with it, how are the kids going to be comfortable with it? And then they're looking at porn. So it's a really terrible thing. I mean, I believe that sex is a sacred act, and it's the most beautiful act, two or more sometimes, but that two people can share. I think it's
two or more. I like that. Do you think there's a stigma? I mean, a lot of people, especially when they get married, it's almost like, well, this is it. Gotta let those fantasies go and stop that. Is there a way that these types of fantasies, these types of experiences and things that you create and help create could actually empower that marriage and that relationship?
I believe sexual complicity between two people is the most beautiful thing there is. I mean, I really believe that. And especially intimacy, that's the best sex you can have potentially. I've had different types of relationships. I've had relationships where the sex has been amazing and we have our own private joke system. And when you have that with someone, it's really, really beautiful. There's nothing as better. Yes. And I've had other relationships that have been more conventional. The sex has been a bit conventional, whereas everything else has been okay, perhaps. And that's not really... that doesn't quite work. So I think it's really important to go for that intimate connection all the time.
No, I'm hearing you. And
Yeah.
one of the things you mentioned a minute ago was about integrity being the most important aspect of life. Is that one of your philosophies behind what you're doing?
Definitely, 100% authenticity. And I have these challenges in my life where people meet me and they think I have a scandalous job. I've had friends tell me, "Oh, don't tell so and so what you do for a living." I'm like, hang on, but I'm doing something wonderful here.
That's a wonderful topic of conversation when you're meeting somebody too.
Yeah, I mean, the people.
So
meet me
that's
and
not
they
a
just
friend.
open
That's
up.
one of those enemies in waiting that we're talking about. No, I'm just kidding. Wendy Williams, we love you. Now, one of the things we love to do is have our guests come in and choose music. You've chosen a couple of tracks today, and the first one that we're gonna tocar is "Shocking Blues Venus."
Yeah.
Is this the original one?
I think it's the original, yeah. Because I mean, the one I remember the most is the Bananarama one,
Of
but
course.
the Shocking Blues a bit cooler.
And that was from the 70s, 60s, 70s?
Yeah, I don't know.
When I first remember the Banana Run,
Yeah.
the whole Cruel Summer album, but the this is from. Do you remember the Brady Bunch?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Oh my God! So in the 90s, they made a series of what would happen if you took the Bradys and moved them to 90s LA, almost millennial. And this was one of the theme songs that every time Marsha was walking, they would play this song. This is your first choice, Shocking Blues Venus. Let's take a listen to it, folks. We'll be right back. I can already tell I didn't like the photo that you just saw us taking because I have a shiny forehead. Hi. My brother says I need to really wipe that off before I ever take pictures here. And I'll remember to do that, Matt. That was from 1969 by a
my
Dutch
God.
band. It was a Dutch band, this Shocking Blue. Okay, let's get back to the nitty gritty. This is what the shit gets good, girls. This is what the shit gets good. All right. When we're talking about that, what are the contributions that you think that you give with your changing lives one orgasm at a time? How do you contribute to that for people?
My mission is to portray sexuality as part of a healthy lifestyle. So if you look at my Instagram or any of my social media, you'll see sex toys with fruit, pictures of the beach, very, very normal, healthy,
Even
wholesome.
that new lipstick one.
Yeah.
With it between your legs. I was like, is
Oh, yeah,
the
that was
breasts or
very
her
good.
legs? Which one
Oh, yeah.
at
Oh, that's
first?
cool. Oh,
Yeah.
fun. Oh, cool.
And then when you go to the article, then her legs. But from
Yeah.
the get-go, I thought,
Oh, cool. Interesting.
yeah, I love that.
Ah.
Okay, so is that possible? Because to me, one of the things, and the reason why I even played Mary J. Blige at the beginning of the show today, was I read an article from her about 18 years ago when I was in uni, where she was talking about her belief at the time. She was just getting married, now she just got divorced. But at the time, she was saying she'd had a meeting with Prince, and she was more convinced than ever that anytime she laid with someone sexually, she was opening up her spiritual doors to them. And not only to them, but all the other spirits that they'd been encountered with through their sexual experiences as well. And all those energies, she said, are flowing through our world and our systems when we permit people like that. So I've been a very, me and Pamela Henderson for many years until recently, and I've really fallen in love. And why do you think there's such a disconnect between the understanding of sexuality and spirituality? If you agree with that, I don't know if you think sex is also spiritual.
I do think sex is
Okay.
spiritual. Definitely. I think it can be. I don't think it always is.
True. Usually it's not, probably.
Yeah, it usually
Yeah.
isn't. But I think it can be. And I think this is something incredible to explore in a sentimental relationship. And I think it's something that can maybe make your relationship a lot stronger. And I think I'm discovering the Tantra world now, which is absolutely incredible. But for me, I only believe in the present, and I believe that we are who we are because of the past, and everything I've lived before is relevant to now. So that's just it. I don't think about the other spirits. I just think about what I'm feeling now, that warmth, the
exactly.
souls, and I think it's
In that
something really
moment.
beautiful. Yeah.
When you have mitigating circumstances in bed, and this is a therapy question for me. I have a puppy and a cat that keep getting in the way, and even though and the thing is, I live in a 200-year-old flat, so the doors don't close properly. If we throw them outside, they're scratching. How can you move around that? We literally have to hide under the sheets to do it, and it really cuts into the mix. Is there any advice that you can
Just get the pets in the other. Just, get them in a different part of the apartment in the kitchen.
It's not so much of a pun, but it was at the beginning of this relationship. It was ridiculous. So, okay, we'll get those mitigating circumstances out of the way. Now, I want to talk about something that we spoke of days ago over the phone about people's sex and porn addiction. We were talking about the fact that neither of us have ever been on the chat sites and the apps, the swing apps. And I think we probably have both similar mentalities about that.
Offline dating.
Yes. No, I have dated on a website.
On a website, yes.
Met, and then we went on dates, and then it just bloomed into this beauty that we have now. But this porn addiction and sex addiction, you specified something of the differences between the two the other day.
Well, I've watched a lot of interviews with people who are practicing NoFap, which is it's a mainly male movement about stopping masturbation. And whenever I hear these confessions, they're always talking about an addiction to porn. So they stop self-love because of porn. And I don't think porn and self-love is synonymous. It can be for some people, but for me, it never has been. I've never, ever masturbated to porn. My orgasms are ethical. No one has to suffer. No one has to risk their life or their health for my orgasms. And I'm really proud of that because people assume that, sex toy tests are so scandalous. But actually, everything I do is based on integrity and good values.
Exactly, as it should be. My father was like that. He would love you.
But however, I have met some people recently who do NoFap for energetic purposes, because they feel that their male men, their energy is completely depleted after an orgasm, and they don't feel good, and they feel more energy when they do NoFap. So that's interesting as well. But for me, a female orgasm is not like that. I mean, it's not so game over.
Yeah. I'm thinking. No, it's not a game over. I just think I would go, 2 to 4. I would go 2 to 4 years without a relationship, or with even near the touch of a woman or man. And I will say that there was some gratification moments that happened because of pornography, especially on those dark nights. And I won't say anything negative, but I do see where it can easily become. I remember a line from Absolutely Fabulous where Grandma's on. She said, "And once you get stuck in a porn cycle, you could be stuck in there for days." And I remember thinking, I know brothers who do this and are jerking off 5 or 6 times a day to porno. And I just don't. I work too much to ever want to do that. But
I've never found porn arousing. Right so for me, it's very easy not to watch porn.
Hombres de mierda. Okay.
Even if it was with, I just don't find it. I think it vulgarizes the sexual act, and I don't find it erotic in any way.
Amen. I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, there are other things. I think there are other ways to stimulate yourself sexually, which are reading a book, erotic films, even some Hollywood films have got some really good quality of acting. My favorite film has got to be Secretary. I mean, spelling mistakes can be wank worthy. I mean, anyone who hasn't seen Secretary has got to watch it.
My boy loves that movie.
Oh my God, it's
Maggie
amazing.
Gyllenhaal,
you don't need to have nudity.
Andrew McCarthy, was it?
No, it was James Spader.
The other one from those movies from the 80s. Okay, this talk of masturbation has to lead us into your next song choice. Okay. Because we changed it, you saw me run out Children of the Corn, but tell us about this next song then. Why did we change it? Because we're talking about it.
Well, it was something I heard when I was a teenager, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. And I thought it was an interesting topic because there are not many songs about self-love. I can think of
Cyndi Lauper's She Bop.
I don't know that one, but there's only a couple more. So this one was something that's
Jack
quite
You
unique.
Off by
It wasn't a normal heartbreak song, or
right,
or falling in love song. It's like, ooh, when I think about you, I touch myself. So I was like, ooh, what's this?
Yes, what this is, folks, is the Divinals. I Touch Myself from 1991. We'll be right back. Let's talk about touching ourselves. Now, are there any events or things that you do? Or because right now I know you do a lot of sex toy testing. In fact, I think you said you had a whole box of things to test.
A box. I've got several boxes. I've got a whole pile of boxes at the moment, so I have to think which one is next. Yeah.
And how do you do the testing, if I may ask?
In what way?
And then write about it or blog about it.
The first thing I do is unbox. So I'm very similar. My work is very similar to any other content creator, product reviewer. So the first thing is the unboxing video, then the testing, and then I go to my gym and I sit by the pool and write the review and the script. And then the next day I'll do the video and I test again. because I always test again during the video just so I can show the post-orgasmic reaction. And people who've watched a lot of my videos can see which one is a really good toy, because they see the red chest, and I can't really speak after, so they see.
It is an intense experience when you watch the videos. So it's a very intimate experience when you watch the videos. You know that there are probably some perverts that are watching the videos for their masturbatory fantasies, right?
Oh, yeah, but that's fine with me. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. That's not my intention when I make my videos, but I realize that anything can be arousing to someone, even the catalogs years ago were, so...
I would jerk off when I was little, 12, 13, listening to the Divinals.
Yeah.
I would use the JCPenney and...
Yeah, the lingerie or the swimwear. I mean, I think that's a quite popular thing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, but that's not because the integrity of what you're doing is to really help others.
Yeah. So I always, with any given sex toy, I'm thinking about all the different things you could do with it with yourself or with someone else to try and get the most out of it and explore something about your sexuality. Because sometimes if I'm testing a toy that I don't like 100% for me, I always think about what someone else might get from it, which I think is really important. I think a lot of sex toy testers, or even maybe in other products, don't do that. It's like, I don't like it, so it's crap. And I think you can do a lot of damage to companies if you do that. So I think sex is so
you have
personal.
to find a way to sugarcoat that.
Yeah, but it's always pros and cons. So if the battery doesn't last so long, then I'll say that, So there's no perfect sex toy.
True. Just like there's no perfect sex life?
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Okay, but it takes a lot of work, and with time and love, it creates that. If there was something that you could tell your 16-year-old self,
my advice to anyone, to 16-year-olds or even 22 when I was about to graduate, which is a time in your life when you're thinking, oh my God, I've had all my life programmed up to this point. What am I going to do now? My advice to anyone at that stage of life is to say you don't need to know what you want to do with your life at that age. Your life is constantly evolving, and I think you should do whatever it feels right at any time, and that's it. And have integrity.
There we go. I think it's so, we try, certainly in the country from whence I hail, they want you to have, you better have something decided at 18 and fomented by 23.
That's so not true. And I have a secret addiction to The View. And
Me
I love
too.
It.
We have got Wendy Williams in The View every day. Oh my God.
Except for the politics stuff. I'm not interested. I like the relationship debates.
Meghan. She's growing on me.
Yeah, but she does have some good points. But what I find interesting about The View, especially, are these debates, or Loose Women, which is the UK one. I love that. Are the debates about relationships, and it's always this. You can see who's left and who's right, and they have this idea that you have this life plan. You got to get a ring on it. You got to do this. You got to do that. That's all ego stuff. Yeah. What matters is how you feel about it. It's not about what other people think.
Listen to your sister.
Yeah,
exactly. So
I have
live
nothing.
your life with integrity.
I have nothing. I have 400 sex toys, some clothes, a computer. And I live in a 21 square meter penthouse by the beach, but I have nothing.
Beautiful.
But my life is wonderful, and I go to the gym every day. I walk no alarm, work 4 hours a day, and
lives by the beach.
Yeah,
Venus, we're going to have you back here because anytime you do an event or anything that you want to promote, please let us know because we want to have you back here. Lucy,
Fantastic.
You have to meet this queen, folks. We're going to wrap it up here. Actually, Swing Out Sister released their latest record about a month ago called Almost Persuaded, and we're going to take it out with a band from Manchester, actually.
Yeah.
Some sweet, sophisticated pop jazz. But folks, have a beautiful week. Give love, be integral, give integrity and dignity. And take a look at venusohara.org. You can also catch her on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah.
All of the websites.
YouTube
and her blog, but venusohara.org. Good Lord. Go get some information. This is Happier Than Sunshine from Swing Out Sister, and we are going to say goodbye, besos, and see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Ciao.